Hello everyone. So welcome to the next session in our modern Indian history course. And today we'll be talking the revolutionary phase 2. One session is I decided in the last session we talked about we'll discuss revolutionary phase 2 in the 37th session, but I preponed it to this particular session. Now, very quickly, we talked about the Gandhian arrest and the political vacuum which was there. We talked about the Swarajists. We talked about the constructive workers, and now we have to talk about the revolutionaries. We have already discussed that why revolutionaries will come, right? The revolutionaries will be frustrated by the idea or the hopes which have been raised by the Gandhiji and the reconciliation which was done by the leaders such as C.R. Das, that leave your uh, ways, your violent ways, and rejoin the national movement. We will work together, we'll be united, we'll present a united front, and we'll gain the self government. But after the Chauri Chaura incident, yes, the political vacuum and the very sudden decision of the Gandhiji disillusioned many, and that led to the revolutionaries. So if we talk about the summary of this session, first we'll again talk about the revolutionaries. We'll talk about the influences, what influenced these revolutionaries, what were the influencing factors for them. Then we'll talk about that. This is important. Then we'll talk about the two places where the revolutionaries were active this time. First was the Punjab phase. Punjab, some places in the United Province in Bihar, and second is the Bengal region. So these two regions were very specific this time, where the revolutionaries were very active. We'll talk about within the Punjab, we'll talk about the Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, and Chandrasekhar Azad, and we'll talk about in essentially Hindustan Republican Association. In Bengal, we talked about the Surya Sen in predominantly Surya Sen and his famous Chittagong armory raid. One very important aspect of it, so all these things are relevant from prelims perspective. We'll discuss prelims and means what type of a question you can expect. Very important topic that we'll discuss at the end, that is ideological rethinking. That how these revolutionaries later on realize that what is a true meaning of the revolution, what kind of India do we want. So we see not only a short term perspective in their thinking and in their approach, but we'll see a long term perspective, a long term thinking in their working, and that is very very important for our discussion and for mains exam as well. What type of question you can expect very quickly? So questions you can expect from prelims and the mains both. A prelims you can expect a chronology based question, when the HRA was formed and which event happened when. You can expect question on the leaders, where the which leader is associated with what. You can expect questions on specific events such as Kakori conspiracy, Lahore conspiracy case, Chittagong armory raid, like that. You can expect leaders as we discuss the leaders. With respect to mains, you can expect question the difference between the revolutionary phase 1 versus the revolutionary phase 2. What was the difference between these two? There is a proper question. I'll discuss that question. I'll put the link of that question in the next session. There is a question that we have already discussed. So difference between revolutionary phase 1 versus the revolutionary phase 2. One thing we will discuss then again, or the main spot is important, that is ideological rethinking. And third is the how this revolutionary come about, right? So these are the 3 to 4 questions you can expect. Question you can also expect tracing the mapping of it, but I don't think that is important. Okay, so this is the summary of the session summary. That's all we'll discuss today very quickly. So why the attraction for the revolutionaries activity after the non-cooperation movement? We have discussed that. So during the World War I, these revolutionaries were there. Obviously, they will be active. They were severely repressed because the government got the defense of India rules, right? So they released the journal. After that, after some times in 1920, the government released these people under the general amnesty scheme, so that the acceptance of the government of India can be there in India. The non-cooperation movement of Gandhiji started with the context of the Khilafat movement. Energy increase, excitement was there. Revolutionaries joined and suspended their revolutionary activities. So they were very happy with the Gandhian call that within 1 year we will gain independence. But the sudden withdrawal, which was done post Chauri Chaura incident, left many disillusioned. They were not able to grasp the idea that why this happened, and they did not like. First of all, they were not able to understand the reasons and the logic of the Gandhiji, especially when the movement was at its highest peak. You just could put it down. How can you make one movement one moment which happened in a very localized context, how can you make this one moment a singular context to withdraw the whole movement in which the whole India was involved? So it was and plus they do not like the Swarajist council entry, and they also do not like the constructive work. They did not get the logic that what Swarajists are doing, and whether they did not get logic what these constructive people are doing. So they wanted to carry on the mass movement at this pitch, but obviously they cannot carry on the mass movement. They did not have that kind of leadership. So then they faced toward their old individual heroism, and that led to the revolutionary activities phase 2. If we talk about the major influences which were there on these revolutionaries, we can talk about the upsurge of the working class trade unionism. We'll discuss that. In essence, what was that? It is related to Russian Revolution. Now, Russian Revolution, that is a communist revolution. First three ideas are based upon that. Communist revolution happened in 1917. That made people believe in the idea of the communism. It was first time that the ideas of the communism were brought into the reality. Communism, you must have read in your, if your optional is if your optional is humanities, PSIR, or philosophy or sociology or other optionals, or you must have read in the world history. It's given in the world history, must be taught to you. So the idea was the communism was first brought into reality with the Russian Revolution of 1917, and it was a very successful state when it came out. They opposed anti-imperialism, the Lenin and all. They were anti-imperialist, pro women rights, and the good things were there, you know. More importantly, they worked for the peasants and the laborers, because the whole idea of the communist struggle was that we should not bridge this class struggle. There should not be any class struggle. There should not be inequality of wealth, and like this, like we have discussed, there should not be exploitation of this class of people to this class of people. In Indian context, there should not be any exploitation of the upper caste on the lower caste. There should not be exploitation of Hindus on Muslims, if that is the economic context, or Muslim on the Hindus, if that is the economic context. What is mean by economic context? There may be places where the landlords are Muslim and the peasants are Hindu. There may be places where the Hindus are the landlords and the Muslims are the peasant, right? So that trade unionism, so they are getting that there is new class that is emerging, new class, that is the labor class, and the peasants are now also getting very political in the nature, because we have seen the earlier movement tend to exclude these people, you know, peasants in the rural class. Now these people, these revolutionaries, are recognizing that these are the peasants which can be a very potential emerging class, which can be utilized for the revolutionary things. Then the new communist groups were also coming. They put an emphasis on Marxism, socialism, proletariat, means good ideas. There should not be exploitation of one man by the other. There should be equality. There should be social justice. So these are the ideas are now coming. Then a lot of material was there, whether it is journals or the novels, which influenced these revolutionaries, such as focus on the ideas of Atma Shakti. You know, a lot of articles were there, Sarthi, Bijoli. A lot of books were there, Bandi Jawan by Sachin Sanyal, Panthar Dabi by Sarat Chandra Chatterjee. So all these books were being written, which gave them a lot of motivation. So these were the major influences. Then you can see nearly all the major leaders of the revolutionary policies have been enthusiastic participants in the non-cooperation movement that we have discussed. Whether it's Jokisjan Chatterjee, Surya Sen, Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Chandrasekhar Azad, Shiv Verma, Jatin Das, and all these people. These people were very enthusiastic for the non-cooperation movement. But we know what happened after that. So two strands can be seen. First strand is UP, Punjab, UP, and Bihar, and the second strand can be seen in the Bengal. Let us talk about the Punjab United Province and the Bihar. So it was dominated by one institution, that is Hindustan Republican Association, that is HRA. HRA was formed in October 1924 in Kanpur in UP, current day UP. So the leaders which were there at the formation of this HRA was Ram Prasad Bismil, Jogesh Chand Chatterjee, and Sachin Sanyal. Remember, there is no name of Azad and there is no name of Bhagat Singh. Okay? So leaders were who have made this HRA, that is the Ram Prasad Bismil, Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee, and Sachin Sanyal. The aim was to organize an armed rebellion to overthrow a colonial government. That we have to overthrow this colonial government. And this led to the establishment of the Federal Republic of the United States. Federal Republic of the United States. And the basic principle was the adult franchise. So this is your Hindustan Republican Association. The which uh, uh, events which led to, which were the major event that we have to see, that is the Kokori robbery, which happened in August 1925. SHRA, the HRA turned into SHRA, later on we'll discuss that. Saunders murder led by Bhagat Singh, bomb in the Central Legislative Assembly, that is April 1929. So these are the events which can be seen in the Punjab and the United Province and the Bihar region. One event. The first event, that is Kakori. Kakori you can see very near to Lucknow in UP. So it was because how will they get funds? They have to do some dacoities and they have to do some robberies. So one of the important actions of the HRA at this time, this is HRA only, that is Kakori robbery. The men held up 8 down-trained Kakori, an obscure village near Lucknow, and looted his official railway cash. Government put a crackdown on these people, led to arrest of many people. And Bismil, Asfakullah Khan, Roshan Singh, Rajendra Lahari were hanged, and Kakori proved to be a setback. They did the dacoity, but later on they were being captured and a lot of people were put into the hang. So these are the 4 people: Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah Khan, Rajendra Nath Lahiri, and Roshan Singh. These people were hanged. Dekho, the idea is that obviously I'll go slow. Obviously, you cannot remember these names in the class itself. The point is to get the story, download the PDF, revise. If you want to make notes, do make notes. That is the overarching idea. The whole course is obviously is about guiding you, giving you the content, giving you the story, putting that story into context. That's all overarching idea is. Next, so HRA was facing a setback now. They were getting inspiration from the socialist ideas, that is the Russian Revolution and the things that we have discussed. Socialist idea means the equality, social justice, work, the talks of the peasants, laborers, and all these things. So determined to overcome the Kakori setback, the young revolutionaries inspired by the socialist ideas were set out to reorganize the HRA. And they were met in the Firoz Shah Kotla in September 1928. And then they made it Hindustan Socialist Republican Association. Okay? So under the leadership of now Chandrasekhar Azad is there. So under the leadership of Chandrasekhar Azad, the name of the HRA was changed to HSRA, that is Hindustan Socialist Republican Association. The participants included Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Bhagwati Charan Vohra from Punjab, Bijoy Kumar Sinha, Shiv Kumar from the Kanpur and United Province. The SHRA decided to work under the collective leadership and adopted socialism at its official goal. Now you can see that this is not one-way killing of the people, right? It is not only about assassination, it's not only about dacoity, but overarching goal, overarching objective is the socialism. Then you have the Saunders murder. In between one event taken place, we'll discuss that. Simon Commission has come into India. We'll discuss detail about Simon Commission later on. If you recall, the Government of India Act 1990 talked about that after 10 years, we'll have one commission to be sent that will look on the overall the working of this Government of India Act. So this was the Simon Commission which was being sent. So Simon Commission bheja gaya. Simon Commission was being sent. So Simon Commission was sent with the objective of evaluating everything, evaluating the constitutional scheme of things. But there was no Indians into it. And Lala Lajpat Rai was protesting. A lot of Indians were protesting against it. Then the policeman ordered the lathi charge, and Lala Lajpat Rai got injured and he died also in that lathi charge. Right. So an anti-Simon Commission procession, October 1928, led them once again to take the individual assassination after the death of the Sher-e Punjab, Lala Lajpat Rai. So Lala Lajpat Rai was put down with the assault by the police, and he died. That inspired these people that how can you kill such a important personality? How can you be so cruel? So they thought Bhagat Singh, Azad, and Rajguru shot dead Saunders, the police official responsible for the lathi charge. The assassination was justified on this ground. The murder of the leader respected by millions of the people at the unworthy hands of the ordinary police was an insult to the nation. It was a bounden duty of the young man India to efface it. We regret to have killed a person, but it was a part and parcel of the inhumane and just order which has to be destroyed. So that was the killing which they have done. That is the Bhagat Singh and the team. Then later on, when they thought that okay, we have changed our ideas, we have become from HRA to SHRA. In between, we'll discuss the ideological rethinking in the brain of the Bhagat Singh also, what he was thinking. He was thinking that revolution is not only this killing of the Britishers and putting them out, but revolution is also about setting up an equality, whether one Indian is not exploiting the other Indian, upper caste, the lower caste, and the things we have discussed. There should not be an idea of the communalism, and the secular ideas needs to be there. So they decided, okay, we will make sure that we are being heard. So the SHRA leadership now decided to let people know about the changed objective and the need for the revolution by masses. Why we need the revolution by masses, right? So Bhagat Singh and the Batukeshwar Dutt were asked to throw a bomb in the Central Legislative Assembly on April 8, 1929. So the Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt were sending the bomb in the Central Legislative Assembly. Now, in the assembly, what was happening? The passage, they were protesting on the passage of Public Safety Emergence Bill, of Swarajya Socialist Idea Bill, and Trade Dispute Bill. We'll discuss both the bills later on. So these bills were being getting discussed in the assembly, and these were not happy. The socialist revolutionaries were not happy with this bill. According to them, these bills were brought to curtail the civil liberties of the people, and they obviously did not want to have that. Why would they want that the civil liberties needs to be curbed? And to protest against that, and for this purpose, so as to make people realize that what they want to say, that is, they threw a bomb in it. But the bomb was not a lethal bomb. It was just a bomb that made a sound, but it did not kill anyone, right? It was deliberately made harmless. It was deliberately made harmless and were aimed at making the deaf hear. Understood? So it was not a harmless bomb. It was just to make sure that you gain our attention, right? The objective was to get arrested, use the trial court for the forum for propaganda so that people will become familiar with the movement and the ideology. So they want to spread their own ideology, their own movement, and they thought that this is the best way through which we can do it. That is sending a harmless bomb into the Central Legislative Assembly. Okay, fine. Then obviously they got arrested. So Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, and Rajguru were tried in the Lahore conspiracy case. Many other revolutionaries were tried in the series of the other cases. Now in the jail, these people are together. Now when the jail, these people are together and they are not worried about they do not have the fear of jail. They were obviously in the jail with the idea of being in the jail, that they will use the courts as a forum for propaganda. So when these people are in the jail, they have met each other. They have realized or they've talked to each other कि भाई क्या चल रहा है, what is happening in India. Then secondly, they can see the horrible conditions in which the jail was being kept. Jail में कितनी बुरी situation है. And they started protesting on the horrible conditions in the jail through fasting, demanding honorable and decent treatment of the political prisoners. Because these are not the criminals who are criminal wala criminal. That is, if I've killed someone, I've raped someone, like that. No, these are the political prisoners. For example, Gandhi ji was a political prisoner. He never committed a problem. He never committed a crime, but he was a political prisoner. Now, on the 46th day of the fast, Jatin Das died. And the defense of these young revolutionaries were organized by Congress leader. Bhagat Singh became a household name. Because now this is being written, Jawaharlal Nehru went into the prison to meet these people. The Congress leaders were organizing their defense. Now Bhagat Singh and what he was doing, demands and what he has done, what he was doing in the courts was being um, household name. People are like recognizing that who is this person who is getting into the courts, about him so much things is written. He's such a small age. What was his ideas? Now people get inspired by the sacrifice that this person is made, whether outside and whether in the jail inside also. Then Mr. Azad, Chandrasekhar Azad, he was involved in bid to blow Viceroy Irwin's train near the Delhi in December 1929. Then during 1930, there was series of violent action in Punjab and the towns of United Province where he was involved. Then finally, police has chased him and finally he died in the Alfred Park in the Allahabad, now Prayagraj, in February 1931. Right? And later on, after 1 month, Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev and Rajguru were hanged on the March 23rd, 1931. They were hanged. So these were the actions against the revolutionaries. So you have the Mr. Jatindranath Das, who died on the hunger strike, right? When he was only 24 years of age. He was a member of the Anusilan Samiti in Bengal and the SHRA, participated in non-cooperation movement in 1925, arrested for his political activity. So this is Jatindranath Das, who died from the fasting that he has done. So these are the activities that we're seeing in the Punjab. I have very quickly, very briefly, I have discussed the whole idea, and that's all which is required for us also. So what we have discussed, we'll discuss the ideological rethinking in the same session later on. We have discussed the 4-event Kakori case, Saunders' death, then this Lahore conspiracy case, throwing the bomb, and in between the changing of the name of HRA to SHRA. This is all itself is required. Rest we'll see through questions. Now we talk about Bengal. Now it's time to discuss the Bengal. So during the 1920s, many revolutionary groups were there. They were having the underground activity as well as they were working with the Congress. Both the things they were doing. So underground activities as well as the Congress. Now C.R. Das died in 1925. He was a Bengali leader. So Bengal Congress broke up into two factions, one led by the Jatendra Mohan Sengupta and the other led by the Subhash Chandra Bose. Yugantar group backed him. And a lot of then individual assassination or individual heroism come into being, because now there is also a political vacuum post the arrest of the Gandhiji and death of the C.R. Das. Sorry. Sorry. The actions of the recognized group included in the assassination attempt on the notorious Calcutta police commissioner was being killed by Gopinath Saha. Not very important. Then he was hanged. Very important revolutionary activity was organized by Surya Sen. Among the new revolt group, most active and the famous was the Chittagong group under the Surya Sen. Obviously, government will come out on the repression, dividing these people, but these revolutionaries were started getting together, right? So Surya Sen has participated. Something about Surya Sen. He participated in the non-cooperation movement, became a teacher in the national school in Chittagong. He was imprisoned as a political prisoner for revolutionary activities. He was the secretary of the Chittagong District Congress Committee, and saying that humanism is the special virtue of the revolutionaries. Lover of poetry and admirer of Tagore and the Qazi Nazrul Islam, he decided to organize an armed rebellion along with his associates. A lot of associates were there, women associates as well. So, what is the idea behind doing this armed rebellion? The idea behind this armed rebellion is to push a case that yes, we can fight tooth and nail versus this might of the British Empire. We can challenge the might of this British Empire, challenge the British invincibility. So this armed raid was being conducted in April in 1930. They planned to occupy two main armories in Chittagong to seize and supply the arms to revolutionaries. So when they'll get these armories, they will get the arms. They dislocate the railway link of the Chittagong with the rest of the Bengal. So Chittagong was dislocated from the rest of the Bengal. The raid was conducted in April 1930, involved 65 activists. The raid was quite successful. Sen hosted the national flag, took salute, proclaimed a provisional revolutionary government as well. So in a way, making this Chittagong a sovereign state, so-called. They dispersed into the neighboring villages and raided the government targets. But later on, obviously, government came down very, very heavily. He was arrested in the February 1933 and hanged in January 1934. So Surya Sen also got arrested. But the Chittagong raid fired the imagination of the revolutionary-minded youth, and recruits poured into the revolutionary groups in a steady stream. Thik? Chalo. Now the Surya Sen is also arrested and hanged. A lot of associates of the Surya Sen and a lot of women were also very active in the Bengali phase. You will not see a lot in the Punjab phase, Punjab, UP and Bihar. But in the Bengal, you have a lot of revolutionaries who were women. So, for example, one is Kalpana Dutt. Kalpana Dutt, along with the Preetilata Vadedar, was giving the task of attacking the European club in the Chittagong. She got arrested a week before the planned attack and later released on bail. She was again arrested in May 1933 and released in the year 1939. Kalpana Dutt served people during the Great Bengal Famine in 1943. We'll discuss Great Famine. Right. So, Kalpana Dutt was also a revolutionary, worked along with the Surya Sen, arrested, but finally she survived. Then you have the Preetilata Vadedar, right? She became the part of the famous Chittagong uprising. The team tossed the club but were cornered while fleeing. Prithilata consumed the cyanide to avoid the being captured by the Britishers. So she committed the suicide so that she would not be captured by the Britisher. Surya Sen was also known as the Master Da. Then you have the Beena Das. Beena Das was a graduate. When she went on to collect the degree, she shot dead the governor, or she tried to shot the governor, right? So you can see how much revolutionary potentials was there in the women itself. They were not only involved in the mass movements, the Swadeshi movement and non-cooperation movement, but very, very highly active in such movements as well, in the revolutionary movement as well. So if we talk about aspects of the new phase of the revolutionary movement, yes, one aspect we have already seen, that is a large scale participation of the young women. That is Pratilata Vadedar, Kalpana Dutt, Shanti Ghosh, Suniti Chanderi or Beena Das. These are the schoolgirls shot dead district magistrate in December 1931. Group action पे emphasis था. There was a lot of emphasis on the group action. Example, by the youth demoralize the bureaucracy. Shedding of the, so it was a focus on the group action, not on the individual action. So that was important. Next is shedding of the Hindu religiosity. If you remember the partition of the Bengal, in the partition of the Bengal, what happened? In the partition of the Bengal, the problem was, or the thing was, that was Rakhi and all were being seeing Rakhi dipping in Ganges, and a lot of symbolic gestures were there. But in time, there is no symbolic gesture. So it was a more a secular and did not relate to the nation. And because of which a lot of Muslims also participated, facilitated the participation in it. No rituals such as oath taking and all these things. So these were the new aspects of the phases. Yes, there were drawbacks as well. The movement retained some conservative elements. They failed to evolve the broader socio-economic goals. For example, they were unable to work with the Swarajis to work for the cause of the Muslim peasantry against the Zamindar in the Bengal. So it was not a, obviously there will be some drawbacks as well, but this was the major drawbacks. What about the official reactions? Now we have seen both the phases, that is the Punjab phase and the Surya Sen phase. Obviously, there will be starting they will panic that what is this happening, but later on they will gain the ground, whether it is Chittagaon raid and anything. So in the Chittagaon, several villages were burned and punitive fines were imposed on the other. Jawaharlal Nehru was also imprisoned because he given some sort of, he condemned imperialism and praised the heroism of the revolutionaries. So those who ever praise the revolutionaries also, you are anti-national and you will put into the jail. You have done seditious activity, you will put into the jail. So that is an by default official reaction. The last section of the discussion today is ideological rethinking. The ideological rethinking, what do you mean by that? Ideological rethinking, we means that the idea of the revolution itself has to be rethought. Revolution by the revolutionaries. Now, revolutionaries in the phase one, if you have seen, focusing on individual heroism, inspiring the youth, and creating a cult. But now Bhagat Singh, inspired by the breakthrough was made by a Bhagat Singh, that what is revolutionary ideology, what should be our means, what is the ultimate goal that we want to achieve. So these are the objective. One of the things that we have already seen, that is changing the name from HRA to SHRA, Hindustan Republican Association to the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association. So the rethinking began in mid-1920s. Founding Council of HRA decided to preach the revolutionary and communist principles, and HRA manifesto declared that HRA stood for abolition of all systems that made exploitation of man by the exploitation impossible. HRA's main goal, revolutionary, has proposed nationalization of railway. So you can have some economic ideas as well. Other means of transportation, heavy building, heavy industry, shipbuilding, and these things needs to be there. HRA decided to start the labor and the peasant organization and worked for the organized and the armed revolution. During the last days, the revolutionaries started moving away from the individual heroic action and towards the mass politics. Because we have seen, because they want to spread their ideology, they no longer believe that individual heroic actions are required. Yes, sometimes we have to do, we'll discuss that. But more or less, we have to talk about the mass politics, getting the people on the street, demanding, having these such demands. So ideological rethinking, for example, Ram Prasad Bismil, in the last day, he appealed to you to give up the pistols and the revolver. not to work in the revolutionary conspiracies, work in an open environment, strengthen Hindu-Muslim unity, unite all leadership under the Congress. You can see the thought of the Ram Prasad Bismil. The Bhagwati Charan Vohra has wrote a book that is Philosophy of Bomb in reply to the Gandhian article that is Cult of a Bomb. Gandhi was not in the favor of these revolutionaries at all. Gandhi wrote a book article that is Cult of a Bomb. Then Bhagwati Charan Vohra explained the ideological and the philosophical idea of the bomb with the book that is Philosophy of the Bomb. Bhagat Singh and Sukhdev, they talked about moving from individual heroic action to Marxism. He believed that popular broad-based movement alone can be brought the successful revolution. These individual actions can never bring a successful revolution. These only the broad-based movements alone can bring this successful revolution. In other words, the revolution could only be by the mass and for the masses. That is why Bhagat Singh helped establish the Punjab Now Bharat Sabha in 1926. So important. In an open wing of the revolutionaries to carry out the political work among the youth, peasants, and workers, it was to open branches in the villagers. Bhagat Singh Sukhdev also organized the Lahore Student Union for open legal work among the students. Bhagat Singh used to say real revolutionary armies are in the village and in the factories. So this is your ideological rethinking that is there. Then we talk about the need of the heroic actions. Then the question is there, if you are talking about the mass movement and everything, then why you need individual heroic action? So we have discussed the firstly, the acquisition of the new ideology is a prolonged and historical process, but need of the time was a quick change. For example, the death of the Lala Lajpat Rai. So you need an immediate reaction to it. Otherwise, the colonial governments will think that it's okay to do anything. It's okay to kill. It's okay to go for the police repression whenever they want without any consequences. No, it cannot happen like that. Second, these young individuals face the classic dilemma how to mobilize people and they recruit them, है ना, to spread their ideology. पहले टेलीग्राम ग्रुप्स तो थे नहीं, they did not have the telegram groups or WhatsApp groups to spread the ideologies. So they decided to do the propaganda by deed, making the deaf hear through individual heroic actions and by using courts as a forum of the revolutionary propaganda. So this is the need of an individual heroic action. Then they redefined the revolution. Militancy and the violence, no, it is not the way. The objective is the national liberation. Imperialism was to be overthrown, but a new socialist order needs to be created. So overthrowing the imperialism is not only a singular objective. Okay, if that is done, that's everything is done. This is the independence. But we need to create a new socialist order. Okay, ending the exploitation of man by the man. A secular freeing people from the mental bondage of religion and superstition as well. Bhagat Singh wrote a book or an article, I should say, Why I Am an Atheist. He was very much disturbed by the leaders he once praised. For example, leaders such as Lala Lajpat Rai as well. He once said that Lala Lajpat Rai has taken a communal turn in the later part of life. If you remember, Lala Lajpat Rai was the part of the responsivist group, a communal element. कि भाई हमें हिंदू इंटरेस्ट को सेव करना है, वी हैव टू सेव द हिंदू इंटरेस्ट. So he was very much disturbed with the idea of the Lala Lajpat Rai, that what Lala Lajpat Rai is doing. This is not right. This is not good for us. So Lala Lajpat Rai, he was not happy with whatever is happening. But still when he died, he went on to take the revenge. One very important idea which you can discuss or see here, that is the idea of the independence. Nowhere in the scene there is a talk of an independence. It was the revolutionaries who first talk about the independence. So very, very important idea. In the mainstream political parties, and they are not talking about independence. Many scholars argue that because of the, I'm not saying it's true or not, but some scholars argue because of the such thinking of the Bhagat Singh, it provided an impetus to the national movement. We'll discuss the Lahore session of 1930. When the Jawaharlal Nehru will take up the leadership, then he'll talk about that we need Purna Swaraj. We need complete independence, right? So that's the idea, and that was inspired by these revolutionaries. Then Bhagat Singh said in the quote that revolution does not necessarily involve the sanguine strife or there is a place in it for personal vendetta. It is not a cult of bomb and pistol. By revolutionary means, present order of things which is based upon the manifest injustice must change. Bhagat Singh fully accept Marxist and class approach. Peasants have to free themselves not only from the foreign yoke but also from the yoke of the landlords and the capitalists. Struggle in India will continue so long as the handful of the exploiters will continue to exploit the others. It doesn't matter whether the British go or whether they leave. If one person is exploiting the other, then the struggle will go on. That is the idea of the revolution. It matters little whether these exploiters are British capitalists or Indian capitalists in alliance or even purely Indians. He defined socialism scientifically as an abolition of capitalism and the class domination. So totally he talked about in terms of the Marxist and the communist ideas. Bhagat Singh was fully conscious and secular. Two of his six rules drafted by in Punjab Naujawan Bharat Sabha. He said that we should be consider religion to be the matter of personal belief and propagate a general feeling of the tolerance. Bhagat Singh also saw the importance of freeing people from the mental bondage of the religion and the superstition. To be a revolutionary, one require an immense moral strength and but also require criticism and independent thinking. You know? So very, very important idea, Bhagat Singh. That is why Bhagat Singh's cult is very important. We have taken, yes, we understand Bhagat Singh. कहते हैं ना कि भगत सिंह talked about there is a lot of misconception in the present time. First, that Bhagat Singh is on the t-shirt, but his ideas are being lost. His ideas are these ideas that one person should not exploit the other person. We are lost. Bhagat Singh's ideas are lost. His idols are remaining. Idols are there, but his ideals are gone. If you even someone wearing the t-shirt, it's very high probability that they don't know about Bhagat Singh's philosophy. Even a lot of students who are watching the modern history or studying the modern history for the first time, they must have thought कि भाई Bhagat Singh was a revolutionary, believed in the cult of revolver and bomb killing Dishumdam. No. In the later part of his life, read about it. This small paragraphs talk about it. Is the book that he has later written. When he was about to go to hanging, you can see one few of the movies. Beautiful movie being Ajay Devgan's movie Bhagat Singh, Legend of Bhagat Singh. Ajay Devgan movie is there, Legend of Bhagat Singh. In this and in the real life also, when he was that okay, now it's time for you to hanging ka time aa gaya. Then he was reading Lenin, I believe. And then he said, one revolution, give me some time. One revolutionary is talking to the other revolutionary. So such an inspired life, such a small age. Really, it gives a goosebumps to think about the ideas of the Bhagat Singh and what kind of thoughts he must have at that point of time. Incredible, isn't it? So that is the idea. We have lost the idea of the Bhagat Singh, the ideals of the Bhagat Singh. Yes, we remember Bhagat Singh. Abhi 23rd March, ko everything will happen. Shahid Divas will be celebrated. But what about his idols? What about his idols, especially in the present circumstances, where he talked about the manifest injustices? Are we tackling those manifest injustices? We need to answer ourselves. Have we done anything, or the political parties themselves needs to ask? Everyone wishes across the political party, BJP, TMC, BJP, Congress, and every political party praises Bhagat Singh. But does any political party has the courage to talk about what Bhagat Singh has said that time? Whether it is a soft Hindutva, a hard Hindutva, whatever it is, whether no has anyone courage to talk about the mental bondage and the superstition that is still prevailing in the society? It's hardly up to discussion, right? We all know the answer. So that's all. Then that's inner thoughts, some opinions that we have discussed. So see you all in the next session. Till now we have discussed, we are now ending the phase that it was the revolutionary non-cooperation. Now we'll move towards the, or in the next session some miscellaneous stuff we'll discuss, and then after some, I think, rise of the left wing I'll discuss, and later on we'll talk about the Simon Commission or the mainstream political movement, right? We'll talk about the mainstream. Next session will be a bit miscellaneous stuff. So see you all in the next session. I hope you're all doing well. Theme 6 is about to complete. Theme 7 and Theme 8 are left out. Theme 9, very small stuff is there. So see you all in the next session. Bye-bye for now. Thank you.